Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields. Thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon. We're going to be taking a look at some Bengals issues that they have right now. And it's classic Bengals problems that seem to be happening again. Things that we have seen over the past few years throughout the Zac Taylor era are rearing its ugly head yet again here in 2024. As a matter of fact, it's bad as it's ever been with the Bengals 0-3 start. So we're going to kind of dissect some of the problems that are on defense. I'll offer a couple of solutions that might be beneficial for the Bengals. But that's going to be the focus of our video here today at Bengals Breakdown. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys we have our September like battle going on, and we only have a few more days left here in September, but we do have a decent lead over our Baltimore Ravens channel. We really had a nice watch party over on Monday Night Football. Unfortunately, the result was not nice, but got some good numbers there. Got a high like total on that watch party. So help us out. Like today's video, as you should for all of our videos here at Bengals Breakdown. It really helps us out. We appreciate it. So hit that thumbs up icon so we can beat the Ravens for the second straight month in our September like battle. So the Bengals obviously have a multi-year issue right now. They can't play winning football in the month of September. They get off to these horrible slow starts. Usually it's just kind of the first 2 weeks, but this year they carried in another loss into week 3. And the big issue with this team that's kind of rearing its ugly head is certainly the defense. Absolutely the defense. When you take a look at some of the numbers might not be as bad as kind of the results that we've seen out there. Giving up 24.3 points a game, which isn't a ton, but at the NFL level, that is a decent amount of points. You might be thinking, oh, it's got to be higher than that, but remember, the Chiefs did have a touchdown that they scored on defense on a Joe Burrow fumble. Those rushing yards, though, 142 a game, very near the bottom of the NFL. The Bengals simply can't stop the run. It felt a lot worse than it actually was on Monday night. I think the Commanders were still averaging less than 4 yards per carry on the ground, but ultimately you can't be giving up that many rushing yards if you want to be competitive in this league. The passing yardages really isn't anything crazy. The Bengals were able to keep Mahomes in check. Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots offense didn't really do a ton through the air. And Jaden Daniels was flawless, but it's not like he went out there and threw for a ton of yards in that game. And the missed tackles, most notably that first game and this most recent game, the Bengals kind of cleaned that up week 2 against Kansas City. But you can't be missing that many tackles at the professional level if you want to have success winning football games. And really, when you take a look at some of the numbers in terms of what the Bengals winning the records are in September when Zac Taylor has been the coach, it isn't that good. Obviously, 2021, they were able to go 3-1 in September. That's kind of the lone bright spot here. But I mean, Taylor's first year, that was a disaster with Andy Dalton playing quarterback, and the Bengals ultimately got the first overall pick that year and were able to pick Joe Burrow, but an 0-4 start there as well. So this is a trend, very much so. It is safe to say that this is 100% a trend that the Bengals are dealing with. And at some point, they got to find a way to stop this from happening. Now, unfortunately, that's something that they're going to have to address in the offseason. They got to focus on the season, take it 1 week at a time, and try to dig themselves out of this hole. But it certainly is concerning that they look so out of touch at the beginning of the season. And usually they're able to battle back and still fight their way towards a playoff berth, or at least get in the conversation of making the playoffs like they did last year, even with the backup quarterback. But everybody knows, if you could start out 0-3, the percentages of you making the playoffs are slim to none, really. So we'll see if the Bengals can, put an end to that trend, I guess, and make some history and end up going to the playoffs. But they've had a massive hole to dig out of, no doubt about that. So that leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. What do you think is the biggest issue on defense? Is it Lou Anarumo, or is it simply just the defensive personnel out there on the football field for Cincinnati? I tend to lean with the latter there, being the personnel. I think Lou Anarumo has done a great job throughout his tenure, but obviously 2023 and these first couple of games here in 2024 have not been good enough. But sound off for us at the pinned comment of today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comment section and let us know what you think. All right, so the defense as a whole is obviously the problem for Cincinnati, but I'm going to break down 4 players here that I think deserve a considerable amount of blame for Cincinnati on the defensive side of the ball. First up, Joseph Ossai. Joseph Ossai has been horrible for Cincinnati. He was their PFF, I believe, graded him as their worst defensive player in this most previous game against the Washington Commanders. He was getting juked out, missed some tackles, looked like some blown assignments as well, and Bengals had high hopes for him out of Texas. No doubt about that, and he really hasn't been able to do a nice job of kind of finding himself into that role. And I've been very disappointed with what I have seen out of Joseph Ossai. And taking a look here at what the Bengals have to work with at that spot, obviously they're banged up. No Myles Murphy for at least one more week. We'll see how that knee is doing after this game against Carolina. But Cedric Johnson, who we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, is a guy that I might like to see get some more time over Joseph Ossai because, like I said, Ossai is just simply not cutting it. And at this point, it sounds harsh, but I would not like to see him on the Cincinnati football team next year. Another guy to blame, Sam Hubbard, and it's tough. I know he is beloved in this area. All Bengals fans absolutely love Sam Hubbard, including myself. He's done so much for this team, but his start to the season has not been good whatsoever. He hasn't been able to find any pressure on the quarterback. He's not, making anything happen behind the line of scrimmage in terms of tackling for a loss. And he has really, really struggled. Zac Taylor said at his press conference today he thinks Hubbard is coming along. But if you do know, of course, Hubbard had a procedure over the offseason, so maybe that is something to do with his slow start. But the conversation about him being washed, I mean, that's kind of a real conversation right now. I don't think he is. I still am holding out hope that Sam Hubbard is going to be able to turn this thing around. But he's got a lot of work to do because he's not helping this football team on defense right now whatsoever. Another opportunity for you guys to get interactive with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. What is your one-word reaction to Sam Hubbard's play this year? Let us know in the comments section. Very interested to hear what you guys have to say because, like I said, a lot of people sometimes are hesitant to criticize Sam Hubbard because he has done so much for this organization. But be honest with us in the comments section. What is your one-word reaction to Sam Hubbard's play this year? Next guy on this list is Vonn Bell. Look, Vonn Bell's a guy that, I was really excited for that he was coming back, and I thought he showed some good things the first 2 games of the season, but it was very clear to me that Vonn Bell was beat up in this game, dealing with that back issue that held him out of practice leading into the game, but he still was out there for essentially the entirety of the game, and I think that it's something where the coaches just needed to kind of pull him back a little bit. Obviously, as a competitor, he wants to be out there, but Jordan Battle, who we also will touch on a little bit later in the show, is your best backup at any position on this football team. If you had to say one guy goes down, who's the backup that you have the most confidence in? For me, it's Jordan Battle, and the Bengals were just refused to get him into this football game. Didn't play against Kansas City either, apart from special teams, and Vonn Bell was getting picked on Monday night, and the Bengals just didn't adjust and simply kept him out there on the football field. And this last guy, also a safety for Cincinnati. Look, I was bullish on Gino Stone. I was telling you guys how excited I was that he was going to be a member of this football team in 2024, and it just really hasn't panned out to this point. He hasn't really been awful, but he's missed some tackles. He's gotten, he's letting the receivers get behind him so far in some of these games. And look, man, I just miss Jesse Bates III, to keep it frank with you guys. That guy was so good, and the Bengals just did not fork up the cash that was required to keep a guy like Jesse Bates. But I'm really concerned about what we've seen from Gino Stone thus far. And again, you might have to look at some other guys that you have in that room. Tyson Anderson's a guy that I think has a lot of talent, but he hasn't necessarily gotten his number called yet at this point from the defensive side of the ball. So you're 0-3. It's desperation time, so you need to start thinking about some adjustments that you can make because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Real quickly, before we get into some potential solutions for Cincinnati, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. Let you guys know that Amarius Mims rookie jerseys are available now. And how about that? Because he is going to be your starting right tackle for the remainder of this season. So that link will be in the comments section and the description of today's video. I invite you to get some Amarius Mims rookie jerseys courtesy of our friends over at Fanatics. All right, here's my first proposed solution. Kind of something I just alluded to there before we gave a shout out to Fanatics. You have to adjust when things aren't working in this league. Look, these games are short. I mean, that game on Monday night felt like it really flew by. I mean, both offenses were just going up and down the field, having these drives, scoring points, and you look up, next thing you know, it's halftime. Then you look up, next thing you know, there's a couple minutes left in the football game. So you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect different results. If something isn't working, you need to pivot off of that. And I didn't think Lou Anarumo did a good job of that on Monday night. Something that he's done a great job of in the past, but why did it take you so long before you started sending pressure to Jaden Daniels? He was playing a flawless football game, and you just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again. And look, switch personnel if you have to. I know Lou Anarumo doesn't like to play a ton of rotations, particularly on the back end, but also the Bengals sometimes on defense have looked gassed. And, you can point to a couple of different things as to why that is the case, but you can't be hesitant to just throw some new guys out there because, look, you got to, like I said, switch some things up, try new things, because if you just keep doing the same things over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same results. And at this point, the results that the Bengals have gotten have been awful. Another potential solution, more snaps for Cedric Johnson. Cedric Johnson was not active for the first 2 games of the season, but he was out there for Cincinnati. And he got like 10-ish snaps on Monday night, and I thought he did a really solid job out there. Cedric Johnson, of course, Bengals 6th-round pick out of Ole Miss. He's a guy that played really well in the preseason for them, and I would like to see him get some more opportunities as we go forward here in 2024. I think he did a really nice job in that game. Like I said, had a really solid preseason as well. So I want Cedric Johnson to be a guy that potentially gets looked at to go out there and do more at that edge spot because the Bengals have really struggled at that position. I would think he should be starting to get more snaps than Joseph Ossai. I think he has a lot more to offer you than Osai does. Another opportunity for you guys to get interactive with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Should Cedric Johnson play more? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Type Y for yes or N for no. Also, maybe create some more rotations. We got a picture of Jordan Battle there. Look, like I said a little bit earlier on, he is your best backup at any position on this team, besides maybe Chase Brown. But I feel really good about the things that Jordan Battle can do. I thought Jordan Battle had a really strong rookie campaign, and we haven't seen anything from him because the Bengals have just stuck with Von Bell at that strong safety position. So Jordan Battle's a guy that I would like to see get an opportunity. Again, Lou Anarumo hates, using rotations at that safety spot, but when you got guys out there at the safety position that aren't playing at a high level, you might need to get some fresh bodies in there, somebody that can perhaps provide a spark, and I think Jordan Battle can be that guy for your defense. I need to see Jordan Battle more as this season goes on. And lastly, make a trade. Look, you're 0-3. You're in a position where offensively you have an elite roster with T. Higgins back, Jamar Chase. You have too much talent on this football team to just say, you know what, the season's over. If you start to string together some wins here, and the way the schedule is set up, the Bengals are going to have the ability to do that. And if you find yourself just hanging in there around 500, around the trade deadline, you need to go out there and make a move. And that totally goes against what Cincinnati does as a football team because their organization just refuses to do that, and they have for a long time. But I want to see that change this year because this is a year where you have guys in place that you can play winning football. Your offense is just way too good. Still think this is one of the best offenses in the NFL. Just way too good for you to say, you know what, 2024, it wasn't our year. We'll try again next year. I want to see something out of the front office, especially if they get more guys that are banged up. Got to somehow go out there and get somebody that can rush the passer opposite Trey Hendrickson. Want to invite you guys to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Here at Bengals Breakdown, we will have a watch party coming up for you guys at around noon Eastern on Sunday when the Bengals head to Carolina in search of that first win. So hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV.